Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode here on the Quarterdeck. This week on the Quarterdeck, we're going to go ahead and continue our reading of our book. With the 1st Marine Division in Iraq, 2003, No Greater Friend, No Worst Enemy. And we're going to go ahead and continue in talking about the actual operational planning. Last week, we talked about how the division was enveloping a Baghdad plan using the outer cordon, and how they were going to use that to their advantage. This week, we're talking about how is the division actually doing their rehearsals? How are they imagining the plan that they're going to put into place? Now they're getting closer and closer to actually heading into Iraq. But not only that, they were doing this planning prior to even sending a single troop into country to allow them to actually be prepared. In our hero highlight, we will take a look at the story, the journey of Captain Joseph Jacob Foss.
Drop and give me 25. I'm the gunny.
It's time for the gunny.
The Quarterdeck. Lights. Get online right now. You got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hello, my bunch of knuckle-dragging, beer-drinking, hard-charging devil dogs. You're listening to The Quarterdeck. I am your host, Miguel, the Gunny Signs.
Get off the bus!
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
The Quarterdeck. Here we are now into April 6th. You guys believe that? We just got done with April Fool's Day, April 6th. And this month is very, very special to me because in this month, on April Fool's Day, was the birthday of one of my granddaughters. Little Acacia, she turned 3 years old, and I want to wish her a happy birthday. But not only that, here on the 15th of April, my son Aiden will actually be 6 years old. I cannot believe he's going to be that old already. He is growing. And to you guys out there, help me wish my little grandkids a happy birthday in this month of April. In the military, especially in the Marine Corps, there's always a time when you as a senior leader have to go through a bunch of crap just dealing with all these new joins that check into the unit, and that you have to, not put them in their place, but kind of set the tone of exactly, what you expect of them and stuff like that. And of course, they just graduated boot camp. They just graduated recruit training and all that, and they really have no idea exactly what to expect in the life of the fleet. And, and I can understand, okay, yeah, they're there, they're scared, all this stuff and everything, and they really don't know what to expect. But, you always get that one that shows up and they are so completely jacked up beyond belief from wearing their uniform completely incorrectly, not having a haircut, not shaving, or just don't care. Like nobody ever taught them that stuff in boot camp. And I know, as a prior Marine Corps drill instructor, you spend numerous hours, days, teaching them the proper way of how to wear their uniform. So that way when they check into their units, when they check into MCT, they're going to be squared away. But I was going through some of the notes that I had, and I found a article, a poem, a script, if you may, of how to properly greet a United States Marine Corps Lance Corporal. Now, don't take this to heart. Don't think that Gunny doesn't care about his Marines. I love my Marines, but I'm also not going to be soft on them. I'm not going to be soft, and I'm not going to let them do whatever the heck they want to do. I want to make sure that they're squared away. And if you're jacked up, damn right I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you that you're jacked up. But there's always stories. There's all kinds of things that happen with young Marines. This particular time here, or this particular poem, script, whatever you want to call it, kind of reflects on the life of a Marine Corps Lance Corporal. Some of the things that go on throughout the entire career. And this is just a compilation of different situations, different stories of different things that actually have occurred with young Marines. And believe it or not, this is throughout the whole entire Marine Corps that this kind of things happen. And, don't, like I said, don't take it to heart. If you never heard stuff like this before, hey, I apologize right now because I'm not going to be very politically correct. So here we go. Just imagine yourself, a young Lance Corporal finally checking into a new unit and going into the office of their battery gunny, their battery gunnery sergeant, which was me during that time when I got all these knuckleheads checking into the unit, looking so squared away that it impressed the heck out of me. So here we go. Imagine them walking into the office. Holy fucking monkey shit, Lance Corporal. I'm so glad that you checked in. You're an 18-year-old World of Warcraft master that barely slimed your way through boot camp. And now, think that you're the toughest thing since a level 80 dark elf with a bow staff or some shit like that. Congratulations, you retard. You've already made my shit list. Perhaps it's the fact that you checked in 20 minutes late, without a shave or a haircut. I figured that you were my new HM1, but I see you were wearing the newly acquired Chalfa uniform that has become so popular with your nasty Lance Corporal colt. Or maybe it's that your eagles are flying upside down. And your welcome to the Corps ribbon is on the wrong side of the uniform there, genius. Whatever the fuck it is, know that me and you are about to become best fucking friends. Mommy and Daddy are probably under the impression that you are a badass, rough, tough, leatherneck, nail-eating, off somewhere fighting wars, don't they? Well, I know the truth. You're an untested, undisciplined, lying, immature little weasel who can't even keep a room, and you can't even square away your uniform. You're going to end up going to medical to get out of PT while simultaneously surfing the web on a military love links with a stupid ass screen name like Monster Marine or Jarhead for life. You're going to end up with a laminated light duty chit for some retarded, unheard of medical condition, where you try to explain to me, but Gunnery Sergeant, my doc says that my metamucil ligament is twisted behind my left calf. Whatever, bitch boy. Shut your cum dumpster and get out of my face. And here's the thing, you bag nasty. Just know that when you get off limp dick duty, I plan on having your little ass drugged through the dirt. The thought of watching you vomit after a half a mile as Sergeant Puller and Sergeant Chesty make crude comments about your mother's vagina make me smile. Then I'll get some lame-ass allegation against me for hazing like I even give a shit. I hope you choke and die on your own vomit. You'll end up with a DUI, or you'll probably pop on a piss test and give me some lame-ass excuse trying to shift the blame while taking absolutely no responsibility from your own retarded actions. I can just hear it now. McGunnery Sergeant, somebody else cooked the brownies. I didn't know there was any weed in them. You think I'm stupid? You're the only one here that was born yesterday, shit stain. That's because you're a useless, arrogant Lance Corporal shithead. You're gonna meet the first shanky, low self-esteem, no self-respected slut that spreads her herpes infected legs for you and propose marriage. After the first fuck, I can already hear it. Things are different, Gunnery Sergeant. I really love her. And she loves me. The only thing that she loves are your friends and your paycheck. And the only thing that you are is confused, inexperienced. Little dick loves is that nasty vagina. That's it. And she'll probably have 4 kids from 3 different dads. One of which is still pending the results of a DNA test on some white trash talk show. You'll give me some Lance Corporal retarded justification like, Gunny, her kids love me. I think I'm the first male influence they've had in their lives. That's because all the other influences were a lot more intelligent than your dumbass. That's good to fucking go though. Here, I thought you were a fucking nasty, money-stealing shank. And here you are, a fucking hero. My apologies. I'll know better next time around. You'll probably buy two $30,000 cars, both of which need rims, TVs, and a sound system. Or a Hayabusa, although you never ridden in your nasty little lifetime. And you're going to do this on what? A $24,000 a year salary. Why are you going to do this, Lance Corporal shit for brains? Because you're a retarded Lance Corporal, that's why. When you get so in debt that you can't pay your rent, utilities, cable, or credit cards, your creditors are going to find me and I'll be forced, kicking and screaming, to sit down and do a financial worksheet for you, which you'll lie on, so it doesn't freaking matter anyway. Then it's going to come a DUI, dumbass. You'll spend the night at a bar, getting wasted with the boys and trying to cheat on your wife with some out-of-shape barracks rat Lance Corporal cult member, while your wife gets railed from behind by two of your friends back in the barracks. Now I'm asleep at home with my annoying phone going off at 2 a.m. And who do you think it is? Yes, indeed it's you, sobbing like a little bitch that you're tossing the drunk tank, awaiting me to bail you out. Now, I gotta call the first sergeant to explain why my leadership has failed you. I hate you, Lance Corporal, I hate you. $12,000, 2 lawyers, a divorce, and 2 repo cars later, I see you smoking a cigarette with your fellow fucking Father Lance Corporal cult members out in the smoke pit. Complaining about how the Corps fucked you and how you got to pay child support. Your credit's fucked because you got NJP'd and lost money. How you're an alcoholic and how you blame it all on PTSD. Although your retarded ass has never deployed. I hate you, Lance Corporal. I fucking hate you with all my heart. The fact that you wear the same uniform as me grinds against my very being. The fact that I have to walk you through life like you're babies who are learning how to walk makes me bitter with rage. I wish I could kick you in the fucking teeth. I wish I could kick you out into the street to find your own way and watch you fail at life without the big brother babysitting Corps. You can thank Mothers of America, which mommy is probably a proud member of, along with some liberal who is preventing me from breaking your ass down, shotgun style, and taking a ratchet to your skull, while beating some dim sense into your brain housing group. Because Lord knows I fantasize about that all day. One day, Lance Corporal. One day. So I found that, I don't even know where it came from or how long ago that's been in my files. But it just some different things that not only me, but other individuals have gone, and I don't know where these ideas came from or where these things came from, but I can't even tell you guys how many Marines I've had that have gone out, gotten married over the weekend, not told anybody. And most of the time it's a stripper. They marry a stripper who's got 3-4 kids already and is pregnant. And they met this person like maybe a month ago and she's like 3 or 4 months pregnant. And here they come on Monday morning telling me that they got married because they got her pregnant and he can't wait for her to have his baby. But think about it for a second. She's been pregnant for 3 freaking months. For 3 months, and this little young knucklehead thinks that this baby is going to be his just because she told him, it's your baby, you got me pregnant. And here the retard is actually believing these things that they are telling them. And this is not just one time. There's lots of different Marines that go through this in different units because the stories that they can tell you of what Marines do, of buying that car that they just bought for a friggin' 10-year-old car with 180,000 miles that they had, but with a 25 to 30% interest rate on this car because they just had to have that Mustang that is brand new to them, but is a complete freaking mess. And we've had so many in the past while I was on active duty that have gone through the exact same situation. So to my young Lance Corporals, this is for you. Don't take it to heart. Don't take it personal because you know the gunny really does love you. Are you looking for a photographer who can capture the most important moments in your life? Look no further than Miguel Saenz Photography. Miguel Saenz is an award-winning photographer with a passion for capturing the beauty and emotions of weddings, family portraits, and special events. With years of experience and a creative eye, Miguel Saenz will create stunning images that you'll treasure for years to come. Whether you're looking for a traditional wedding album, a unique family portrait, or a professional headshot for your business, Miguel Saenz Photography has the expertise to bring your vision to life. From the initial consultation to the final product, Miguel Saenz will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your images reflect your unique style and personality. Don't settle for mediocre photographs that simply document an event. Trust Miguel Saenz Photography to create timeless images that capture the essence of your special moments. Book your session today and experience the magic of Miguel Saenz Photography. Visit Miguel Saenz Photography online at miguelsciencephotography.com to see examples of his work and schedule your appointment today.
What we're gonna do right here is go back. Way back into time.
Last week in our reading of our book, With the 1st Marine Division in Iraq in 2003, No Greater Friend, No Worse Enemy, we talked about the update to the actual operational planning and how the envelopment of Baghdad and the outer cordon plan was starting to come into place. This week, we're going to talk about some of the division's rehearsals. How are they imagining this plan being put into place? Because now it was getting closer and closer to the day that they were just waiting for the order from the President of the United States to execute the mission that was at hand. Even before division forces began to flow into theater, the division had embarked on an aggressive plan to rehearse for the coming fight. The CG's intent was to imagine the division through the fight in a number of ways. Training events like the pre-deployment briefings had accomplished personal imaging. Intelligence roadshow briefings had provided operational imaging. An important next step of the process, however, was to imagine the division through some of the complex tactical maneuvers that would be required. Some creative mechanisms were developed, from a detailed terrain model at 29 Palms to plastic Lego blocks in a Camp Pendleton parking lot, from computer simulation to colored unit t-shirts in a Kuwaiti desert sand table. The Marines of the division put their collective focus into preparing for the fight. These rehearsals and combat preparations continued even as forces flowed into theater. In some cases, units had to participate by VTC, with force flow and the deployment concerns nearing resolution. The division refocused on shattering the Iraqi army's cohesion. With the same momentum they were determined to achieve against the Iraqis, the division entered their final rehearsal period. When they were talking about doing the actual division rehearsals, they conducted a bunch of operations down there in 29 Palms. And I can remember, man, we hated going down in 29 Palms because it was just such a miserable time for us going down there. But we knew that it was important because we had to prepare ourselves to be ready for any kind of terrain, any kind of environment that we might encounter once we actually headed into theater. Now, all of this training and all these rehearsals that they're talking about actually happened prior to the division actually starting to put the forces down there in Kuwait. So for us, before we even headed out of country to head into Kuwait in that preparation to head into Iraq, we did so many training evolutions down there in 29 Palms. One of them was the CPX. That was one of the things that the division rehearsals were actually being conducted down there in 29 Palms, and it involved the whole entire division, different units of RCTs, planning how they were going to execute these movements. And yes, exactly what they said, we used sand tables. We made giant terrain models on the desert floor that would simulate the same kind of terrain that we were going to be facing once we actually headed into Iraq, according to the plans that the division headquarters had already put into place. So here we had little rivers, the Euphrates, all the rivers and stuff and everything that we were going to cross. We had them there with little puddles of water, little Lego sticks, bridges to make bridges, popsicle sticks. We used a lot of freaking popsicle sticks and stuff like that to get these things put into place. But this was such a huge terrain model that we actually used that you can walk around in and stuff. So you guys can imagine, this took some time. This took some time to actually put together, so that way all the unit commanders would have a great understanding of exactly what the division's plan, so there would be no questions at all whatsoever. So everybody would be on the same page. And that's one of the main things that is very, very important, because everybody needs to be on the same page when it comes to the execution of a plan, especially out there in the battlefield. In the battlefield, it's very, very important that you have an understanding and that you know where the units around you are at all times. Now, yes, we're going to have radio communication and stuff that we're able to communicate with each other to let us know exactly where we are, because there's time frames, there are timelines that units are supposed to be within a certain location within a certain amount of time, or a certain time that they're supposed to arrive there. And that's very important, because the execution of our mission, especially for us with artillery, we had pre-planned targets that we were going to engage in and we were going to actually fire on. And we needed to know that all the units were actually in the place that they were supposed to be, so we can go ahead and execute these missions. Now, of course, that communication was very, very important, and we had to have communications with those units on the ground, just so we can ensure exactly the grids that they were located at and their exact location on the ground, because whenever we fired our missions, we wanted to make sure that the rounds all headed over their heads into their intended destinations. And that was just basically more for safety, because we wanted to make sure that we took care of each other. We took care of each other, and then we were able to provide the proper support and everything that those units were going to need in order to finally execute that mission. So next week in our book, we're going to talk a little bit more about these division rehearsals, the CPXs that we kind of refer to. We're going to talk a little bit more about them and exactly what they were doing to prepare the division to get them ready to execute the mission from leaving Kuwait and actually heading into Iraq. Hero Highlight. This week in our Hero Highlights, we take a look at the story of Brigadier General Joseph J. Foss. Joseph Jacob Foss, one of the United States' outstanding aces of World War II and holder of the nation's highest military award, the Medal of Honor, was born 17 April 1915 on a farm near Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Following his graduation from high school in Sioux Falls, Joe Foss attended Augusta College for 1 year and Sioux Falls College for 3 semesters. He then enrolled at the University of South Dakota, Vermillion, and graduated in 1940 with a degree in business administration. In college, he fought on the boxing team and was a member of the track and football teams. The future Marine ace first became interested in flying when a squadron of Marine flyers staged an air show at Sioux Falls in 1932. 3 years later, he attended his first airplane ride, paying $5 to go up in a Barnstormer. In 1937, he paid $65 on the installment plan for his first course in flying. Now and then he rented a Taylorcraft. In 1939, he took a Civil Aeronautics Authority flying course at the University of South Dakota, and by the time he graduated from college, he had 100 of flying to his credit. While in college, he served in the South Dakota National Guard from October 1939 to March of 1940. 3 months later, he hitchhiked to Minneapolis to enlist in the Marine Corps Reserve. Of the 28 men applying, only he and another were accepted on 14 June 1940 and assigned to inactive duty. Honorably discharged from the reserve on 8 August 1940, he accepted an appointment as an aviation cadet in the Marine Corps Reserve the following day. He was called to active duty 23 August and sent to Pensacola, Florida for training. He completed further training at Miami, received his Marine wings, and was commissioned to a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps Reserve on 31 March 1941. He was advanced to first lieutenant on 10 April 1942 while serving as an instructor at Pensacola, and was promoted to captain 11 August 1942 at Camp Kearney, California. Captain Foss arrived at Guadalcanal in September of 1942 and became a Marine Corps ace on 29 October. Flying almost daily for 1 month, he shot down 23 enemy planes during that period. Bagging 3 more later raised his total to 26, which tied the World War I record of the noted Captain Eddie Rickenbacker and set a new record for World War II. His 26 planes included 20 Zero fighters, 4 bombers, and 2 biplanes. While at Guadalcanal, Captain Foss was forced to make 3 dead stick landings on Henderson Field as a result of enemy bullets crippling his engine. In November, he was shot down over the island of Malta after accounting for 3 Zeros himself. Not being a good swimmer, he had trouble getting ashore. He was picked out of the water by natives in a small boat and learned from them that, had he been able to swim, the direction he was headed would have carried him to a place on the beach that was infested with crocodiles. Captain Foss received the Distinguished Flying Cross from Adam William F. Halsey for his heroism and extraordinary achievement in shooting down 6 Zeros and 1 bomber from 13 October to 30 October 1942. Returning to the United States in April of 1943, he reported to Headquarters Marine Corps, Washington, D.C., and was presented the Medal of Honor by President Franklin D. Roosevelt at ceremonies in the White House on 18 May 1943. Also in May of 1943, he was sent on a tour of Navy pre-flight schools and naval air stations where Marines underwent training. After his 30-day rehabilitation leave, he went on a bond selling tour of the United States, and then he became engaged in training assignments. He was promoted to Major on 1 June 1943. Back in the Pacific in February of 1944, Major Foss was appointed Squadron Commander of the Marine Fighting Squadron 115th. He served in the combat zone around a Maru St. Matthews group, but failed to better his shoot-down record. Major Foss returned to the United States in September of 1944 and was ordered to Klamath Falls, Oregon. In February of 1945, he became Operations and Training Officer at the Marine Corps Air Station, Santa Barbara, California. With the end of the war in August 1945, he requested to be released to inactive duty. He went on terminal leave in October, but was ordered to Iowa that month to appear at a Navy Day ceremonies in 4 cities there. Finally relieved from active duty on December 1945, he was retained in the Marine Corps Reserve on inactive duty. Major Foss was appointed a lieutenant colonel in South Dakota Air National Guard in September of 1946. He tendered his resignation from the Marine Corps Reserve on 29 January 1947. It was accepted effective 19 September 1946, the day prior to his acceptance of the Naval Air National Guard commission. On 20 September 1953, he was advanced to the rank of Brigadier General in the South Dakota Air National Guard. In 1948, the future governor went into politics and won an election to South Dakota State House Representatives. 2 years later, he made an unsuccessful bid in the Republican gubernatorial primary. He returned to state legislature and in June 1954 won an overwhelming victory for the gubernatorial nomination. He was elected governor of South Dakota the following November and was re-elected 2 years later. In 1960, he was named as the first commissioner of the American Football League and served in that position until 1966. From 1988 through 1990, he served as president of the National Rifle Association. Brigadier General Foss died 1 January 2003 at a hospital near his home in Scottsdale, Arizona, following a stroke. He was buried with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery, Arlington, Virginia. In addition to the Medal of Honor and Distinguished Flying Cross, his decorations and medals include the Presidential Unit Citation, American Defense Service Medal, American Campaign Medal, Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal with 3 bronze stars, and the World War II Victory Medal. The Quarter Deck. If you're just joining us, you're listening to The Quarter Deck with Miguel the Gunny Signs. And this week on The Quarter Deck, we talked more about the division actually preparing their plan with rehearsing and getting everything put into place just so they can execute the plan and get it ready to go once they've left Kuwait and headed into Iraq. Using their imagination. There's different ways that we can actually do that. With the division, it was with Legos. It was with little figurines that they actually used on the ground to ensure that they were able to see and visualize what that plan was going to be and how that was going to get put to work. Next week in our book, we're going to look at the division and how they're actually executing these rehearsals down there in 29 Pops and during the CPXs to ensure that they're able to understand the plan on how the movement of the whole division is going to be actually executed once they got into country. In our hero highlights this week, we took a look at the story of Brigadier General Joseph J. Foss and what he did. Another great pilot, another ace of the Marine Corps during World War II, and all those planes that he shot down. 26 confirmed kills on his plane that he actually did and was able to execute down there during that time that he spent there, and was able to get the Medal of Honor presented to him down there by the President of the United States, and eventually when he passed away. Next week, we'll take a look at the story of Private First Class William Albert Foster. I want to thank you guys again for joining me again this week, for the continued support on my Facebook page, The Quarter Deck with Gunny Signs, as well as on all the media platforms that are out there that you guys are actually jumping on there and taking a look at. Looking at the map and everything that I can actually see where you guys are looking and listening to me. Oh my goodness, thank you guys so much. Everywhere throughout the United States. I even have some listeners down there in Great Britain, in Alaska, one in Hong Kong. Can't believe that the podcast is finding its way across the nation. So thank you guys. Continue to share, and I greatly appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Enjoy that great time with your family. And until next week, this is Miguel, the Gunny Signs, sounding Liberty Call.
Get off the bus!
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
The Constitution of the United States.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.